20 seconds. I just toggled it on. Oh, okay, it's trying. I have this thing on my screen that tells me it's connecting or connected, and it looks like it's trying. It might be something up with YouTube today. Double check that. Let me log in to my YouTube channel. And for those of you who don't know, yeah, I have a YouTube channel. It's sort of crazy. Who knew? I need to switch out to this account. Thank you. And go to YouTube. Is it coming up there? Hopefully. Okay, it's something up with YouTube. Actually, what's interesting is on my side, it's showing that I'm live. Yep. Okay, so I'm showing that I'm live on YouTube on my side. So I don't know. I know some of you are having problems. It could be YouTube too, but also on one of the systems, it's showing that it's trying to connect. So sorry, little glitchy, a little bit out of my hands. Oh, Wendy, I see you got it. Okay, we're up. All right, so there's the tools that you'll need to do the project today. Another thing too, I did send it in the email. I apologize again, it was a little late, but you do need a quench bowl that's going to be a little bit bigger than a small one. But I'll bet you all of your quench bowls are bigger than mine. Mine's only about that big. So anyway, something around 5 inches is going to be helpful. All right. Oh, of course, you'll need a ruler too. So the wire that you got a lot of it. You can cut it down a little bit to make it a little bit easier for yourself. Cut it down to about 18 inches, all right? So, oh, and again, unlike other surprise projects, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you now what we're making because it'll help you understand it. Look at that! Isn't that cool? Okay, so this is what we're making today. We're making a little bit of a weave and we're gonna interlock them. We're making 2 of them, and then we'll make a bail. We'll solder it all together. And then, look at that, you can do it in silver. Oh. All right, so first things first, I'm going to cut all these pieces into 3-inch, except for one, okay? So one's gonna go to 3.5. So here we go. So I'm just gonna cut one. It does not have to be exact. Close is a good thing. All right, so you're going to end up with a total of 12 pieces is what we're heading for, okay? 6 pieces per side. So if you're out there watching, we are simulcasting on YouTube. If you hadn't figured that out yet, that's why people were having issues with YouTube. Twitch, Periscope, and Facebook Live on the Q Talk Facebook page. So as I'm doing this, oops. Of course I dropped it, hold on. Hold on, Andy, I lost my earbud too. I'm sorry. So again, just to let you know, there's only about 3 kits left of this project if you decide that, hey, you're missing out on something. 3 kits in the copper. Okay. So here we are, just cutting all these pieces. Ooh. I think I sort of screwed up on my cut here. I should not end up with such a short piece. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I screwed up on the last one. I'm going to have to cut another one. In the meantime, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just anneal this really quickly and let it pickle. As soft as this is, I want it even softer. So we'll anneal it. Don't melt it because these are really thin pieces, right? And remember, because this is a surprise project and you have to buy the kit to get all the details, I'm not sharing all the details with everyone. You can see it in the instructions. Okay. So there we are. I'm going to quench it and throw it into the pickle. And I'm going to go grab some more wire. Okie dokie. So obviously I screwed up on my cut somewhere along the line. I might have gone over 3. And I need a little bit more wire. You're funny, honey. Okay, so the last piece I'm going to cut at just about 3.5. I know where I went wrong. Okay, so something I know where I went wrong. Something that you need to note here is my ruler starts here, not at the end, and I cut from the end, and of course that's going to make it short. So, you know, a good ruler, an expensive ruler, goes all the way to the end. I learned that a long time ago. I didn't realize that that's how rulers worked, that the more precise they are, the more expensive they are. Interesting, right? You would think a ruler's a ruler. All right, so I'm sticking everything into the pickle. And then I'm going to pull out my rotating platform here for soldering. And we're going to try to weave this. So we're going to have to do this twice, okay? It's 2 parts put together. All right, I'm going to grab the stuff out of the pickle. Pickle's nice and hot. And let's see. Put everything. All right, there we go. So there's one longer piece. Okay, you're going to save that. Let's make sure I do that right, and let's identify which one that is. There we are. So it's this one. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Okay. Straighten it out. There's a little bit of a bend to it. I'm going to go ahead and straighten it out with my nylon nose. Just a little bit. Like so. Okay. Now, so we're going to start with 3 first. And you know, you could do this. I mean, there's only 6 pieces. If you were doing this, you can do this with 12, by the way. It gets a lot more complex. But because there's only 6 pieces, weaving it on the side and then moving it onto your solder board, for me, was fickle business. So I'm just going to do it right on my solder board. But you could, on your workbench, go ahead and tape it down if that's a little bit easier for you. So, I'm seeing your comments out there about this project. I know! I love this project! Okay, so clearly I'm not a good cutter, as you can see. Okay. Okay, so the question is 1 long and 11 short or 12 short. Okay, you have a total of 12 with only 1 long. So 11 short and 1 long, okay? So I'm just going to sort of pin this in place just a little bit. I don't think that's going to help me too much. And I'm just going to start weaving this like so. So here I am, under, over, right? And then the next one is going to be over, under, over, under. And I'm going to pull that down just like that. You can see. Okay. 1 more. And so the last one So you're only weaving 6. Okay? Actually, I did the wrong one. Sorry. I need that long one. So that long one, whatever you do, needs to be in the middle. Whether it's this middle or the side middle, it doesn't matter. This long one needs to be in the middle. Okay? Like so. So it's sticking out. You see that? I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. And then I'm going to put in the next one. And notice how I'm holding it down, because it's just flopping all over the place, as you can see. But I'm okay with the flop because I'll fix it. It's just a matter of time. There we go. It's a bit, what is the word for futzed? Is that the right word? Anyway. All right, so here, the key is you want to start working this square. It looks like a rectangle now, but it needs to be a square. And you want to work it to the middle of this weave so that the sides are even, okay? Except for the one sticking out. So I'm gonna move this down and sort of make that even. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be close. So you want it to be even here to here too. So I'm going to move this down a little bit more. And notice how I'm working that. There we go. Oops, sorry. Okay. And I'm actually going to pull out a ruler and I'm going to measure this. All right. It's about 5, what did I decide? About 5/8? By 5/8. Yeah. Okay, so I want to make sure it's about the same and that it is square. So right now it's still a rectangle. So we're going to move this in a little bit closer. And I want this to be nice and even, and you can totally eyeball it. You can see it. See? It's squaring up. All right. So now I'm just going to gently, I'm going to use the back end of my tool. I'm just going to gently push it down. Like so. Because I want these I want this weave to lock in place. Now, if it's not locking in place for you, this is where the leather mallet and the bench block comes into play. You can just move this onto the bench block and hammer it down to get the weave to lay down. Okay? All right, so now you need to solder it. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my copper solder. Oops. And I'm going to start placing solder everywhere because they have to lock in. This can't go moving later. All of these lines, okay, all of these weaves have to lock in. Trust me on this one. Okay. I'm going to end up playing with that a little bit more. Hold on, I'm going to pin it some more. There we go. There we go. Okay. Still not perfect, but again, it's just sort of moving, and I'll move it back. It's going to move some more here after I put the solder on, so I'm not going to futz with it too much. All right. So a little bit of solder at every single line. So I'm just going to put it right next to it. You see that right there? Right next to each line. At the connection. Just choosing, you don't have to put it on both sides. It'll go right in. Meaning I don't have to put it here and here. I can just put it on one side. I'm going to come in just a little bit tighter. So, the question is, do the ends need to match up? Yeah, I'll readjust those a little bit here. Actually, I see it moved. You want them about as even as you can get it, right? I know I'm off on my cut here. I'm going with it. So Yes, I know that this wire is off because I cut it off. So, again, mistake on this part, but it will still work. You want them approximately all at some point the same size. So I really think actually these two are longer than they need to be, right? So that's about where it's going to end up anyway. Should work. And I know, my head. This is what you get for an overhead camera. And by the way, thanks for those who shared with me that you're seeing a problem in the camera. The camera's going back to the manufacturer today. So here we go. And by the way, I'm going to do this a second time anyway, because we need to make 2 of these, okay? Yes, the square honeycomb is seemingly useful for this, but you know what's really nice about the honeycomb anyway, if you even have the brown one, it's still a grid if you look at it as a grid, right? All right, so here we are. Everybody's in. I am shoring things up, making sure that we have a nice square. I'm going to move these around a little bit just to straighten them out a hair. Again, my love for the tweezers continue. Okay, there it is. Pretty square, pretty square. Gonna be happy with that. Okay, all right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to just heat this whole thing right in the middle and get all those solder joints to happen. I'm also going to, take out my my pick, and if I need to push it together because maybe it sits up, that's fine. Make sure that they all make good contact. Done. Voila. This is why you need a larger quench bowl, larger than what I was using. And I'm just going to check my joints. Yep, they're good. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to stick this into my pickle pot while I make the other one. Silver solder. So the question is, okay, so hard. Okay, so let's see. So in all of my excitement of doing this, so I'm going to work on the second one now. I really think this is going to be so cool as a pendant in silver. So I started working on a second one, a silver one. I'll show you. Not done yet, clearly. This is actually, for me, I think it's too big. It's about an inch or 2 inches in diameter. But if you're interested, we're taking orders for silver because I'm going to have the wire custom cut. It's really hard to find it. Smaller. It's going to be smaller than this. If you had already bought the kit, it's going to be smaller than this. It's going to be almost half the size. It's going to be about 2/3 the size of this. So the silver kit will end up with a 1.5 inch pendant. If y'all are interested, I did post the link on the Q Talk Facebook page, so you can order that. You have to, anyway. So let us know, and Andy's gonna post the link on Twitch. Oops. Oh. So you haven't heard the story about this square honeycomb block. I have a bunch of them because we bought it from an industrial surplus. So we were thinking that we would sell them, but it turns out that they crack after like 4 or 5 uses. So away with that. I've already gone through 3 blocks since this whole process has started. And since I started using the square one, since my round one broke. So the round one I've had for like 2 or 3 years. And I dropped it, or I dropped something on it before it finally broke. So, but the one that we're selling on the site is the round one, and that's why there's a difference between this one and the round one. And that's the one that I've had for a couple of years. Okay, so now we're going to do this again. Again, it's a little fickle. Going to move that together. And we're just going to move it down to try to square that up. Now, before I actually lock that up, I'm going to pull my other piece out of the pickle because I want the squares to be the same. If I was to square this up right now, I can already tell you it's not the same size, okay? So I want to make sure that those are identical. Because these are going to be mirror pieces, right? All right. No, because they're not going to ship. We're fine, babe. Okay, so here, I'm just going to put this over to help me identify how big this is. So clearly this needs to come out just a little bit, like so. You could use a ruler, but me and rulers, hell. Okay. Oh, so fickle today. Yes. Yes. Okay. Ooh. See how soft that was? Ooh. Okay, again, there we are. Oh, okay. So I'm going to go with this and stop fussing with it because I feel like it's going to move again once I get solder down on it anyway. And then I'll re-fuss with it here in a minute after I get some solder on it. So notice I'm using the back end of my pliers to get that down. You can, like I mentioned before, put this on a bench block and hammer it down. That will definitely be helpful if you're struggling. Okay? Solder. So solder at every point. Every single line needs solder somewhere, okay? And the solder will definitely go right under the, right between the joints. It'll go right in there for you. Too much solder here, so I'm just gonna use that and move it around. Okay, so again, some here, every single joint. This one's gonna be a little messy. So you wanna clean that up a little bit if you can. I'm gonna tighten that up. And then I don't have to sand it off later or clean it any. There we go. I'm gonna try to get that to even up a little bit too. And make sure that's nice and square. I'm just gonna hold this over. I'm gonna put my head over this. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, so there we are. I think we're pretty good. It's pretty darn similar. Again, you need this to be square, that middle part, because it won't fit properly later. Okay? Actually, I want that middle one to come over just a hair. Now I'm being anal retentive, but just gonna move it over just a little bit. I know, it's like half a millimeter. There we go. Okay. Make sure they're all straight. If they're not, it'll still work. That's what's really cool about this. Again, just making sure that they're all making good contact with my solder pick, okay? I'm gonna quench that. There it is. Double check. Yep. So you want to check and make sure they're not moving, because if they're not connected and they move, it's gonna break later. Throw this in the pickle. Gonna set this aside. Okay, so my long one is up. We're gonna leave it there. That's going to be the bail, if you haven't figured that out. So it's going to be this part right here. That's how we're making the bail. If you want to solder on a jump ring, that's great. You can also pierce a hole through there, but because this is intended to be an ornament, right? But I guess you could wear it. It's a little big, for me anyway. You would just put a ribbon through there. So it doesn't have to be anything great. It's just for an ornament. And if you have the little wire hangers, you can use that too. If you forgot to do that, you can just put one of those little wire hangers right through there, or you can just pierce a hole, because I'm pretty sure most of you guys have hole punches. And if you don't, you can get it at the urbanbeater.com. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. So here's piece number 2. Oh, not great. It'll work. All right. So the thing is, you'll see that one side is much cleaner than the other. So let's just face them together at some point. Okay. So it's how that will work. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to take, and you want this to be consistent all the way around, okay? So you'll just take one corner and you'll bend it over just like that. And you'll take another corner and you'll bend it over. And notice I started with this one. If you start with the top one and put the right one over, then you want to be consistent about it all the way through, okay? So there we go. So I'm going to just turn it 45 degrees, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I want it to look the same. So we just pull this over a little bit. It's a bit forgiving. And we're just going to keep doing this 4 times over, really 8 times once you add in the other one. Okay, so you see where I'm going with that? And then I want to give it a little bit of a pinch on each of the ends to bring those together, because remember, we're going to have to solder this. Yep. So bring them nicely together, just like so, and see that they're fairly even, okay? So then the next one, we're going to go ahead and do this. Let me think about this for a second, for half a second. I always do this in the wrong way. So the next one is the same, like so, and over, so So I hope you guys think that this is as cool as I sold it out to you. Sold it to you as. Yes, you could stamp a heart in the center. You need a very small one. But you know what would be really cool too is you could also set a stone, like do a tube set stone in the middle, especially if you're going to do a pendant. Apparently, Andy's telling me that that's true, I forgot, we do have a 1.5 millimeter stamp, so that would work. Okay, so this one's slightly off for me, so I'm going to fix that. I went a little too far with that. There we go. We'll open that up. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over and we're going to, okay, so notice this is similar, right? We're going to turn it 45, and each one of these spokes goes under the wings. Actually, I'm going to start with the top one because that's the hardest one. So see how I did that? And then we're going to put this next one in, and we're going to, and notice I'm being really gentle about it so that I don't screw anything up. There we are. And I'm just going to gently, every single spoke, move under like so. Like that. So see, the spoke sits on top of the wing. You see that? Okay. So the thing is, the comment I see is that you can put a small bezel cup in the center. Problem is you can't set it. You see that? There's a space in the center. It'll mush this whole thing, but it's a look. If you're okay with that, you know, you can definitely do that. But I like the dimension of this. I like that it's sort of puffed out and it gives it a lot of dimension. It's not flat. You could absolutely do this completely flat. But what fun is that? If you've been following along, you know how I just love three-dimensional things. Okay, so there we are. So all my, oh, no, missed one. So now they are completely interlocked, right? Let's see if that one, this one's over, like so. So you can see we are completely interlocked. Okay, so you need to make some decisions as to how you want to solder this, all right? So I'm just gonna solder the ones that are facing up first, and then I'll flip it over and solder the other ones, all right? So now I'm going to play with the sides a little bit to make sure that they touch and meet, all right? You see how I'm doing that? I'm just making little adjustments. Obviously, this one is my short one. I probably should have put that in the center, but anyway, okay. All right, so you can see it crosses over like so. And I'm just going to use my pliers. And notice I'm just moving these as needed. And I'm squeezing them together so that they make good contact, right? Whatever you need to make that happen. And if they're slightly off, it's okay. You can barely tell. You see, like this one is off, but you can barely tell, and that's okay. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna solder these. Not on there. I'm gonna solder on here. Okay, let's grab some solder. Again, I'm gonna do the 4 that are open and facing up. And it's gonna need a little bit of help because you see they're not together, but that's okay. Again, we're gonna make it work. So it's a bit too much solder. So make sure that your solder will go between all of the layers. So here, a little bit on the back, and also between the spoke. Clearly I need to go back and adjust that. You saw that move. I'm sure you saw that move. So to answer Kathy's question, yes, you can. So I don't know if she's on, what is she on? Is she on Twitch or is she on Facebook, honey? So she's on Twitch. It's a really long-winded question, but the answer is yes. You can solder CZs on here. Tube sets. Should work. And it should work well. I'm actually going to try it soon. And I'll probably do it on Twitch. So in a couple weeks. As you guys know, I've already mentioned it before. We are, I'm going to White Plains this week. So there is no twitching this weekend. Okay, so here I'm just moving things around, making sure that I'm prepping it and ready for solder. So what's going to happen is I'm going to solder this, but you can see they're not really making great contact. I'm going to use my I'm going to use my solder pick, and I'm going to push them together as the solder flows, and that will get it. You can sit here and play with it all day long. For me, this was just going to be the easiest way to get to that point. Okay. So to Cheryl's question, the answer is yes. Okay, so heat that right there, and I'm gonna just hold it together while it flows, and that did it. Moving on to the next one. Make sure that's all flowing. All right. Again, I apologize if my head gets in the way here. I know this prong's off, but I'm leaving it off. And this one here. Done. Coolness. And you know what's really cool? Heat patina on this copper is so cool. Don't you just love that? Okay, let's check. We're good there. All right, let's pickle this, and then we'll do the other 4. So you see, it's a great project. You guys, all your creative juices are running, right? You can see the potential in this project. It's, oh, so exciting. Anyway, how many times can I say that in one broadcast, right? Apparently a lot. Okay, so we're pickling on the side here. Give it another minute, and then we're going to solder the other pieces. And actually, while that's soldering, because I can, let's heat patina this one. So, you know, copper turns in all lovely colors. I'm just going to heat it and see what happens. I can always pickle it and do it again. But wouldn't it be cool if I could get purples out of this? Ooh, yeah. See that? See that purple? Whoa, so cool. All right, look at that. See, and it's just sort of fun, right? With all the different colors and the dimensions. All right, set that aside. Let that cool over there so I don't forget and touch it. Let's go ahead and pull this out of the pickle. Pickle the last 4 joints. And then we'll do some finishing work. Okay, dry that really well. Or pretty well. Let's see. There we are. There's the so upon request. There it is. Not done yet. still playing around with the soldering, and I guess I stopped because I really didn't care for the size and the proportions and things like that. Okay, there we are. Let's do the next ones. So again, the spokes are facing up, so I know which ones I'm doing. So, you know, when you're working something like this and it starts getting confusing because it's repetitive, just keep it consistent on how you do things, and then it won't get confusing. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that all the ones I'm working with are facing up. The spokes are facing up, right? So that sort of ensures that I have the right one going. So solder there. A little bit of solder there. So now my creative juices wants me to make more ornaments for December. Not that we put up trees or anything, but you know, I just want to make more and find more designs to work with. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we do another one? Okay, here we go. All right. All right, so we'll heat this, pull out my solder pick. I'll do this one first. Good. Do this one. You're good. Yes to more ornaments. I think we have a consensus. Yay. I have another idea in mind that I haven't fielded out completely. I tested it once, but it wasn't quite singing to me. But then maybe I need to give it another try. So there is another one that I really want to do. Okay, so this one is off. You know what? I'm just going to throw, it's not completely fire scale, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit solder in there and get that. I see I didn't even get solder in there because I don't even see any flow. So we'll just put a little bit of solder right in that one and make sure that one connects, and just reheat it right now without pickling. Solder paste is a little bit more forgiving with the whole pickle thing. So just remember that. Done. See how easy that is? Okay. Yup. Quench it. And here we are. Okay. Just double checking everything. Let's pickle it. All right. So all the soldering's done. So now we'll do some finishing and then get this to look even more fun. Let's see. Almost there. Give another minute in the pickle. So what else can I tell you? Virtually Ever Crafting. I have posted the Zoom link for the cocktail coming up. Oh, next Wednesday is Wine on Wednesday. Have I posted the link on that yet? Oh, I haven't posted the link, but many of you who registered for the previous Wine on Wednesdays got an email from me that we've updated the link because I'm moving to another account. So you do need to re-register if you're joining us for Wine on Wednesday next week. So hopefully you see that. And then on the Virtually Ever Crafting site, there has been lots of updates up there, how to Zoom, and there are now vendors. I have, I think, 13 vendors who have signed up to do the cocktail event, which is really great. So this weekend I'll be in White Plains, New York, doing classes. You can see the classes on beadeverything.com. Next weekend we're doing Gemorama with the Tuscarora Lapidary Society out there in Philadelphia. So that's going to be lapidary.com, if I remember correctly. I always forget if it's a .com or .org, but I'm pretty sure it's a .com. And anyway, so you can still register for classes for that weekend. I'm not doing a Zoom that Friday. I'm doing classes over Saturday and Sunday. And you can register for those classes at theurbanbeater.com. I know, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Okay, so I'm pretty excited that you all are excited for something other than jewelry. This could be a lot of fun, you know. Let's see. So here we are. Let's dry that up nicely. Be really gentle with this because you know what? The wires are pretty soft. And oh, that one didn't work. I'm going to have to do that again. Okay, the wires are really soft because it's copper and you have in essence been annealing the crud out of this by heating it. So it will harden up, and believe it or not, wired metal does harden over time just on its own. I have not tried throwing this into a tumbler yet. I don't know, I'm still a little scared, but I feel like this is a little bit big for the tumbler anyway, right? Especially a rotary tumbler. I don't know how well it will do. Okay, I need to solder that piece one more time. Sorry. How did I miss you? I don't think I checked, that's why. Okay. Let's see, solder. Oh, I have two. Well, okay, so this one's on, but it's barely on, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that too while I'm at it. Okay, so this is the one. So we're going to put some solder right in there. So for the Gemorama, the link is posted there in Twitch, I'm assuming, honey? Oh, I didn't even know Gemorama had its own website. So gemorama.org, right? So that's great. They're doing demos, virtual demos that weekend too. So, you know, you can still learn things. And I'm nearly positive, but she might make me a liar here, that the demos are all free. So you might want to look that up. Okay, so we'll heat right here and just get this one going. Again, I'm just going to push it together. There we go. And this one needs to be flipped over so I can get that together. It's on, but I would like a better connection. There we go. Nice. There we are. Okay. And actually, I think I'm going to leave this and not pickle it because I'm liking these colors. So fun. Okay, so take out your side cutters and let's trim this. So decide what your front is, and I'm just going to trim it. You see that? Right along the lines, like so. Yep. So all those corners that are sticking out, we're going to trim it. And you see, it makes a really nice petal. Obviously, you have to cut 8 points off. Do not cut that long one, you're going to need it. Okay. And I have one short one, but no one's going to notice, right? I have one little short one there, but totally over it. As little bits of copper go flying all over the place. Okay, so I have some sharp edges. You know, it's an ornament. You can leave it, or if you want to, go ahead and pull out your file and file it. Just take some of that down. You know, especially if you're giving it to somebody, I would probably take the time out and file that down just a little bit. Okay. Actually, I don't want this little file. I'm going to use a big file. I'm so glad that you guys have you took my word last week, and I said that this is going to be cool, that you'll have regrets. Haha. Glad some of you don't have regrets for buying the kit. That's always great. You know, these surprise projects for me are really stressful because I never know whether or not that people actually will like what the surprise is, you know? So I'm glad that you're liking your little surprise. Okay, there we go. So I'm just taking off a little bit off the tip too, because it's a little sharp for me. So just go through and finish all those ends. And you know what, believe it or not, this has become a little rigid already. Now that everybody's tacked down, because it's given it leverage, okay? All right, then on this end here, pretty simple. You're just gonna pull out those multi-looping pliers and just bend it over. Just roll it right over. Look at that. No big deal. Done. If you want to liver sulfur this, you can. If you want it to look a little bit less rustic, just take out, I wouldn't use a brass brush on this. A piece of steel wool is seemingly the best. Let me dry this up a little bit more though. I don't know, still debating on whether or not I want to pickle this. I'm sort of loving the, this color. And let's see, maybe do a little bit, get some highlights in there, maybe not. You know, you could clean up the solder a little bit too. Leaving it rustic means that I don't have to clean up as much solder. And you know, here, what's nice is, again, this was not patinaed as well as over here, but I sort of like it. So the long one was the bail. It was at the top. Remember, it was in the middle, and that's what I just turned over. So you have to leave a little bit of length so that you can create that bail. Again, if you forget to do it, it's not a big deal. Pierce a hole, put a jump ring in it, right? So as much as we have goofs and things like that, they're fixable. For me, this is a very, very forgiving project. Okay, there we are. So I'm just cleaning it up and sort of having fun with it, seeing where it goes and what I want to do with it. I just did both sides, and the patina is still changing, believe it or not. And here's the other one I did. This is heated more than this one, so you can tell by the silver colors. Okay, I heat this anymore, it's going to turn to brown, but I love these purple and silvery colors. Just sort of have fun with it. You can liver sulfur this, as I mentioned before. It's really up to you. Liver sulfur, I think, would give it a really rustic look. Okay, so depending on where you're putting this and what you're trying to decorate, and you know what? This could go in your mirror on your car. And what's nice is it's not that reflective because of the patina we put on there, so we don't have to worry about it being a hazard, right? Not so much. All right. So that's it. That is step-by-step surprise departure to ornamental. So I don't know if any of you guys guessed that we were going to make an ornament today, but maybe you did. I gave you a little bit of a clue. I'm glad those of you who took a risk and bought the kit. For those of you who didn't take the risk, there's still about 3 kits left. If you're looking for silver, because it's not so easy to attain, it is actually going to be smaller than this because I wanted it to be really nice and petite. The silver kits are up there. It's going to make approximately 1.5 inch pendant is what it is. Anyway, so those kits are up there. They're not going to start shipping until probably November 12th. So you can go ahead and order that now. And because I'm having the metal cut especially to the size that I want it to be, because it was not so easy just to buy. You couldn't buy stock. That was the deal. You couldn't buy stock metal to get this to happen. But nonetheless, there we are. Thank you so much for joining me today and playing along with my silly little geeky self. So I will, let's see, the Zoom along on Friday is at 1:30, I think, p.m. You can still register for that. If I haven't put up the link, I'm going to put up the link today, and then we'll see you then. Everybody else, Stephanie Chavez on Monday is going to be my guest instructor, and I will be back next Wednesday with, I don't know, I think it was a demo. Can't remember. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for loving this project, and I'll see you then.